Queensberry era. Back in 1867, the Queensberry Rules of boxing was created. 3-minute rounds with a 1-minute rest, a 10 count for knockdowns, and, most game-changing, mandatory padded gloves. Gone were the bare-knuckle brawls and endless rounds. Now fights had structure, safety, and a finite rhythm. Rings became standardized 12-foot squares, and wrestling holds were strictly outlawed. This was boxing reborn as a gentleman's sport, albeit a brutally entertaining one. By 1882, the Boston strong boy John L. Sullivan strode into that new Queensberry world and owned it. The first gloved heavyweight champion, Sullivan packed venues with his raw power and swagger, routinely dropping opponents in under 5 rounds. He was a hulking showman who built boxing's early celebrity model and proved that padded fists could still pack a savage punch. At the turn of the century, James J. Jeffries reclaimed the crown in 1899, unifying the division with brute force and iron chin. Yet the seismic shift wouldn't stop until 1908, when Jack Johnson, fearless, flamboyant, and the first African-American heavyweight champion, shattered both fists and social barriers with his lightning counterpunches and unshakable defense. By the outbreak of World War I in 1914, Queensberry's blueprint had won worldwide adoption. Gloves, timed rounds, and coded etiquette had transformed prize fighting into the modern sport we recognize today, setting the stage for the golden age of boxing to come. The Golden Age. This was when boxing was one of the big 3 sports in the world alongside baseball and horse racing. Promoter Tex Rickard had turned boxing into a spectacle, and radio broadcasts were just making their debut, bringing every thundering punch into living rooms nationwide. In the ring, Jack Dempsey's feral aggression and crushing hooks made him the world's most feared fighter. He shattered attendance records, turned undercards into main events, and set the template for sports celebrities. But brains beat brawn in 1926 when Gene Tunney outboxed Dempsey with slick footwork and precision jabs, scoring a decision that stunned the sporting world. Their rematch a year later gave us the long count, when Tunney famously survived a delayed 10 count to cement his legacy. By 1937, another seismic figure emerged, Joe Louis. The Brown Bomber carried the hopes of a nation through the Great Depression, steamrolling opponents with textbook power and discipline. His 1938 rematch victory over Max Schmeling transcended boxing. It became a symbolic triumph on the world stage. But when the world tipped toward war in 1939, this golden age closed its curtain. Post-war. When Joe Louis stepped into the ring against Billy Conn on June 18, 1946, millions of Americans gathered around their screens for the first ever TV broadcast of a title fight. Louis, the Brown Bomber, unleashed his trademark power one last time. Yet by 1949, he'd relinquished the heavyweight crown to Ezzard Charles, whose slick counterpunching marked the close of boxing's pre-war titans. Just as Charles settled in, a knockout artist named Rocky Marciano burst onto the scene. In 1952, Marciano's ferocious right hand flattened Jersey Joe Walcott and launched an undefeated reign that soared to a perfect 49-0 record. Meanwhile, on the lighter end of the card, Sugar Ray Robinson was rewriting the sweet science. As welterweight champion from 1946 to 51 and middleweight ruler from 51 to 57, Robinson's silky jab, lightning footwork, and tactical genius made him boxing's first true superstar. Television networks quickly gobbled up weekly boxing cards. Shows like Tuesday Night Fights became must-see primetime events, and champions treated their title defenses like blockbuster premieres. By 1960, boxing had fully embraced the modern era. Regulated broadcasts, star-driven storylines, and a conveyor belt of contenders chasing belts in front of living room audiences. This era set the stage for the man who would forever redefine the sport. Ali era. A 23-year-old Cassius Clay dances into the ring fresh off his Olympic gold. He's not just fast, he's flashy, taunting his opponents with a wink before landing a jab that lights up the arena. Within 4 years, that young upstart shocks the world in Miami Beach. He feints with his left, explodes with his right, and knocks out Sonny Liston in their February 1964 title fight. "I am the greatest," he yells, an audacious claim that echoes far beyond boxing. Suddenly, Clay becomes Muhammad Ali. He trades his Olympic achievement for a life of faith and social defiance, refusing the Vietnam draft in 1967 and sacrificing 3 prime years of his career. Stripped of his title, Ali battles in courts of law and the court of public opinion, becoming, in defeat, a hero to millions. When he finally returns in 1970, the landscape has shifted. Enter Joe Frazier, who hands Ali his first professional loss in the brutal fight of the century. The rematch in 71 is another war, and in 73, Ali reclaims the title with a masterful performance performance against Ken Norton. Then comes the stuff of legend, the Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman in 1974. Ali adopts his rope-a-dope, letting Foreman tire himself out, and then unleashes an 8th-round knockout that is heard around the globe. 1 year later, he and Frazier traded haymakers until Ali's corner stops the fight after the 14th round. By the late 70s, Ali fought with younger contenders like Leon Spinks, losing and then regaining the title in 1978. His final big night comes in '81, when the sport's first true global superstar hangs up his gloves after a 61-5 record. This was the Ali era, where brash confidence met revolutionary skill, and boxing became a stage for social change as much as savage beauty. Four Kings era. Four warriors, Roberto Duran, Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Marvin Hagler stood atop the sweet science, each bringing a style so distinct it felt like witnessing four separate sports. First, there was Roberto Duran, whose ferocious inside game and granite chin made him lightweight champion for nearly a decade. Then there was Thomas Hearns, 90-inch reach, heavy right hand, and a swagger that electrified crowds. In 1981, Hearns ambushed Leonard, dropping the champion in round 1. Though Leonard rallied for a dramatic round 14 knockout, Sugar Ray Leonard danced in and out, switched stances, and peppered opponents with lightning jabs. His trilogy with Duran and epic rematches with Hearns showcased a ring IQ that turned close fights into career-defining victories. And then there was Marvin Hagler, the granite-jawed middleweight who reigned from 1980 to 1987. Hagler's southpaw jab carved through defenses, and his bodywork was surgical. His 1985 slugfest with Hearns raged through 3 rounds before Hagler unleashed a vortex of punches to claim the WBC crown. In 1987, Hagler met Leonard in Las Vegas. In a tactical masterpiece, Leonard pulled off the razor-thin decision that remains one of boxing's most debated outcomes. By decade's end, these four legends had traded belts, brutalized challengers, and elevated boxing's global fandom. Tyson era. A 20-year-old Mike Tyson storms into the ring at the Las Vegas Hilton. In a mere 2 rounds, he dismantles Trevor Berbick and becomes the youngest heavyweight champion in history, a record that still stands. From that moment, Tyson wasn't just a fighter, he was a force of nature. Night after night, Tyson's early reign was a highlight reel of brutal efficiency, unifying the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles by 1987. His peekaboo style made him virtually unstoppable. Then came one of boxing's most electric nights, June 27, 1988. Michael Spinks, undefeated and unbeaten by any heavyweight, walked in believing he had the edge. 91 seconds later, his reign was over. Tyson's left hook had written the fastest heavyweight championship finish ever. But as the decade closed, cracks began to show. In 1989, Tyson humbled Larry Holmes and Frank Bruno with trademark knockouts, yet outside troubles and a grueling camp foreshadowed darker days. 90s era. One moment you're watching Mike Tyson's reign, the next you see James Buster Douglas land that thunderous right in Tokyo. Tyson's empire instantly toppled. Out of that shock emerged a new champion, Evander the Real Deal Holyfield. With a granite chin and iron will, Holyfield reclaimed the title and defended it against the era's toughest contenders. By 1992, Holyfield was king, but Riddick Bowe wanted the crown. In a crusade of raw power and unorthodox uppercuts, Bowe beat Holyfield in Chicago, only for the Real Deal to regain his belts in a brutal '93 rematch. Their trilogy reminded fans that heart and grit could rival any knockout blow. Meanwhile, overseas, Lennox Lewis was honing his jab and mounting a march toward undisputed glory. After capturing the IBF strap in '94, Lewis bided his time. Then, in 1997, he out-jabbed and outboxed Holyfield to unify the heavyweight titles, setting the stage for his long-reigning dominance. Down the weight classes, Roy Jones Jr. was rewriting the pound-for-pound narrative. His lightning feet and blistering combinations demolished everyone from middleweight to light heavyweight, so much so that in 1999 he finally captured a heavyweight belt in a special encounter, cementing his status as arguably the decade's best all-around fighter. The 1990s were a patchwork of styles and personalities. It wasn't a single throne, but a rotating cast of champions that kept boxing unpredictable and thrilling. Mayweather era. Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. had honed his skills since his 1996 debut, but by 2007, when he beat Oscar De La Hoya, he'd perfected a defensive artistry so flawless he popularized the shoulder roll. Undefeated, Mayweather turned every fight into a clinical masterclass. Beyond the ring, he shattered boxing's business ceiling with record-setting purses and pay-per-view numbers, cementing his status as both the sport's ultimate tactician and its richest star. Meanwhile, halfway around the world, Manny Pacquiao was crafting his own legacy. Bursting onto the scene in 1995, he ripped through 8 weight classes with southpaw speed and body-blasting power. And by 2011, he held titles in 4 divisions at once. Boxing's dream matchup finally arrived on May 2nd, 2015. The fight of the century pitted Pacquiao's early round onslaught against Mayweather's impenetrable impenetrable defense, resulting in a tactical chess match that ended in a unanimous decision for Mayweather, yet both warriors emerged as legends. This was the Mayweather-Pacquiao era, where masterful skill met blockbuster spectacle, and boxing's global business model was forever transformed. On one side, Saul Canelo Alvarez was already a teenage prodigy, but it was his 2015 performance, dropping Liam Smith with a single counter that announced him as a generational force. By 2018, Canelo had unified the light middleweight division, out-jabbing Rocky Fielding and edging Gennady Golovkin in 2 razor-tight classics. In 2021, Canelo accomplished the unheard of, undisputed super middleweight champion, stopping Caleb Plant in round 11 and cementing his reign from 154 to 168 across the heavyweight landscape. Tyson Fury was charting his own legend. When he toppled Vladimir Klitschko in late 2015, he didn't just win a belt, he ended a decade-long dynasty. His uncanny footwork and unpredictable jab, mixed with feints that drew errors, turned title defenses into theater. The 2018-2021 trilogy with Deontay Wilder delivered 2 brutal knockouts and a draw. Fury emerged triumphant, shrugging off knockdowns or turning the tide in late rounds. He reaffirmed his monopoly on boxing's most storied division. Current era. Gone are the days of one undisputed face of the sport. Today, Alexander Usyk patrols the heavyweight division with textbook southpaw precision, first by dethroning Anthony Joshua twice in London, then by outworking Tyson Fury in Riyadh. Meanwhile, Canelo has drifted up to super middleweight, but heavyweight and super middleweight are just the tip of the iceberg. In America, Terence Crawford chases pound-for-pound supremacy. This is also the streaming era. DAZN, ESPN+, and even Saudi-backed promotions flood your timeline with cards on multiple continents. Stars like Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia fight under bright lights, while legends from past eras pop up for exhibition bouts that blur sport and spectacle. And that's the story of where we stand today. A sport without a single ruler, but with countless champions all vying for your attention. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe because I'm going to be posting these types of videos frequently. Thanks for watching.